Pokemon TCG Pocket is the brand new turbo mobile card collecting game that's set to release globally on October 30th. But if you're lucky enough to be in New Zealand, it's actually coming out in less than a day. And today we're going to be taking another look at all the cards to see which ones are going to be super strong and which ones were kind of all just hype. Hey guys, I'm Zatumi, aka Zen, and if you're interested about Pokemon TCG Pocket, then consider subscribing because I'm going to be covering this game quite regularly here on the channel. I am extremely excited, so let's hop right into today's video. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Zatu, you already kind of made a video about this, and you're right, but we got a ton of new information, and I know the game is about to come out in less than 24 hours, but the most important information that we got is this right here, the energy zone. Before we were just kind of speculating, but now we know exactly how the energy zone works. The energy zone acts as a pool that generates energy based on the types of Pokemon in your deck. Each turn, that zone generates one basic energy and displays the type of energy you'll receive on the next turn. So there's going to be a little bit of RNG depending on how you construct your deck. Now, knowing this, now we can see the cards that have been shown, we've already kind of talked about, but also the new cards, and really see how energy acceleration and energy manipulation is going to change the game. And like I said, we already had about 72 cards, and now we have a total of 90 known cards, starting with Charizard EX. And I'm gonna be honest, any sort of stage 2 Pokemon, especially one that gives your opponent 2 points for knocking it out, I don't think they're gonna be as good as you guys potentially might think they are. The evolution in this game is exactly like TCG, the regular Pokemon trading card game, meaning if I played a Charmander this turn, I can evolve it to Charmeleon until the next turn. However, maybe with things like Rare Candy, you'll be able to accelerate your evolution into this Charizard. We still don't know. There's a ton of cards that we haven't seen yet. But because of that, I'm pretty skeptical on these stage 2 Pokemon, especially the EX ones. But with that being said, you do have to discard 2 energies from this Pokemon. Now, by itself, this is absolutely trash. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be one of the worst EX Pokemon. However, because of the way the energy zones work, pairing this with something like Moltres here can really make your Charizard deck kind of stand out, especially with their Inferno Dance, where you flip 3 coins and then you take the amount of fire energy from your energy zone equal to the number of heads and attach it to your benched Pokemon, benched fire type Pokemon. Now, why is this good? Well, you can easily accelerate your fire energies, potentially up to 3 of them, to your benched Charmander or benched Charmeleon. Maybe get something like 6, 8 energy on there before optimally switching out, or maybe even letting them knock out your Moltres and then pivoting into your Charizard EX. However, if they do knock out your Moltres, they get 2 points. Again, this is a very short game, so I don't know how much energy acceleration you're actually going to be going for, right? But now we get to start seeing these strategies and these deck types kind of come out, well, just with the cards that we've already been shown, right? So already there is a strategy between Moltres and Charizard EX, but I don't think it's going to be the best one, to be honest. In fact, out of the 3 starters, I personally think Venusaur might be the best, just because of its ability to heal damage without losing energy. Every time you use Giant Bloom, you deal 100 damage and you get back 30 HP, which is pretty advantageous when you see that you have the strongest, the highest HP out of all 3 of them. Charizard EX is 180 and Blastoise is 180. So yeah, personally, I'm gonna be running the grass starter deck for sure, just for that. However, we don't know what the other grass type Pokemon do, what their effects are. We've only seen a couple of them, I think. Like out of all the cards here, there's only a few of them and they just have basic attacks with no actual like effects. But just the Venusaur EX alone, personally, I think that's a better card all around. But let's talk about Blastoise. Blastoise is pretty good too. This Blastoise EX kind of has a move effect that reminds me a little bit of the Lapras EX, I believe, in the set. However, this thing, if you have 2 extra water energy attached to its Hydro Bazooka attack, so you need 5 total water energies, then this attack does a total of 160, which is pretty good. And if it's a super effective attack, it'll do 180, which means that could one-shot an opposing Charizard, which is pretty on brand if you remember the original Pokemon Stadium games. I mean, let's be honest, Blastoise always wins here. But unfortunately, just like the Venusaur, we don't really know what other cards are in the water type faction that can help you accelerate your energy to help this actually be a thing. Speaking of the Lapras EX, here it is real quick. It does the same thing. I'd imagine you also would run it in a Blastoise type deck because this is a basic, it's not an EX. And if there is a card that helps you accelerate, this Lapras would also take huge advantage of that with the Hydro Pump. If this Pokemon has at least 3 extra water energy, meaning a total of 4, this attack does 90. You pretty much one-shot every basic stage Pokemon. I mean, some might survive like the 100 HP ones. But yeah, pretty strong. It's completely dependent, however, on any sort of energy acceleration in the water type group. All right, we got through all 3 of the starters, and I think the rating is Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur is the best in my honest opinion. Venusaur is top, then second place is Blastoise, and unfortunately, I'm a Charizard fan myself. I just don't think Charizard is going to be like that dude, you know, especially competitively. Now let's talk about the other starter in the room, and that's Pikachu. This thing is going to be S tier. It is so dumb, and I can't imagine anyone not playing Electric and they're trying to be competitive. If there is a ranked scene that comes out eventually for TCG Pocket, I'd imagine Pikachu being S tier. Like, it's so dumb. Check this out. 120. It's not the strongest EX. You do lose 2 points, or your opponent gains 2 points when they knock it out. I keep thinking of the prize cards. But for 2 energy, this attack does 30 damage for each of your benched electric type Pokemon, meaning it can do a total of 90 for only 2 energy, which is pretty busted, honestly, especially if you're just starting out. You can accelerate, you can use one of your energies, put it down onto your Pikachu, and if there's like a trainer card that helps you accelerate another energy, then on turn 1 or even turn 2, you have 2 energies, fill up your back row with benched Pokemon, because there's no limit, right? You could have 3 benched Pokemon, but it doesn't say you can only play 1 benched at a time. You could just fill them up right then and there, and then just sweep with your Pikachu, just 90, 90, 90. They can't evolve their Pokemon, they can't do anything. The only way they can respond is by playing a stronger basic stage Pokemon and hopefully getting the energy requirements they need on that Pokemon to take out your Pikachu. But until that happens, your Pikachu is sitting in a pretty good spot, especially if you draw into your basic staged electric type Pokemon, which they've already shown a couple. But now let's talk about the other EX Pokemon that they've shown, and that's the Mewtwo EX. This is, in my opinion, it's a better version of like the Charizard, but also not really. The reason I think it's a better version of Charizard is because we've already seen a helpful Pokemon card that helps it accelerate, and I believe that is Gardevoir. Yeah, this thing has an ability where as long as it's in your bench, once during your turn, you can take 1 psychic type energy from your energy zone and attach it to any Pokemon, any psychic type Pokemon in your active spot. Now, this is good. The problem I have with this is this isn't something like a Radiant Gardevoir, right? This is a second stage Gardevoir. Again, you need to evolve into this Gardevoir. Now, if you have a backline with like 3 Gardevoirs in this 5-minute game, you're cooking, right? But I in my head right now, I can't see that happening. And because of that, I don't think Mewtwo is going to see that much play, and it's suffering from the same issue that I think Charizard EX is. Now, if there's a better way to accelerate, or if there are other basic stage cards, or maybe something like a trainer card that helps you accelerate your energy into that Mewtwo, then maybe it'll be a little bit better. But right now it's Pikachu, then that basic stage Mewtwo for EX. Let's check out another card that has a Radiant counterpart, being the Greninja, which is a stage 2. I'm kind of like comparing it to the TCG actual official game, but this Greninja is a stage 2 Pokemon, which kind of sucks again. But if you can evolve your Brokey all the way into a Greninja, then this ability is pretty dope. Once during your turn, you may do 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, meaning they're benched Pokemon too. So if they have something with like 60, 70 HP, you can just drop 20 damage onto them. Pair this up though with something like Articuno. And listen, the Articuno could be in your active spot, and then Greninja can be in your bench spot. And that way Greninja's ability, you can still use it from your bench. And then your Articuno, you can do something like Blizzard, and this attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And now you're just chipping away, and within turns can just knock out maybe 2, 1, 3 Pokemon at once, depending on how much HP they have. And that in itself, I think, makes this kind of synergy and strategy pretty valuable. So I don't know if this would be in like a Blastoise type deck list, but I think this would be its own archetype, if you will. Something like that deals damage to the back line with abilities. Moving on to Melton. I'm going to say this right now, S tier. S tier. Listen, we don't know what its evolution is, but the fact that one steel type energy, and you can use this attack where you can take one steel energy from your energy zone and attach it to this Pokemon, makes me feel like this evolution is going to be insane. It might be something like that, but just energy acceleration on top of the energy that you get is going to make this pretty strong. It's a bold statement. Again, we don't know. You can come back and tell me I was wrong. You're just going to come back and tell me I was right, to be honest. But yeah, this card is going to be, this evolution, let me say, Melmetal is going to be a really crazy card. I really think so. Next up is Pidgeot. Personally, I think this goes in every single deck. Pidgeot is so good. This doesn't even have to be in your active spot. You can just have it in your bench and then use the ability Drive Off, and once during your turn, you can switch out your opponent's active Pokemon. However, they choose which one. So if they have like a EX Pokemon on stage, or if they have something that has high HP that you can't deal with, or something that's stronger than you that's oppressing you, Pidgeot in the back line in your bench, you use Drive Off and they have to switch out. And if they want to switch it back, they're gonna lose energy using their retreat cost, which I think pretty advantageous. Pidgeot is gonna definitely be a staple that goes in every single deck. Next up, we have Zapdos here. I'm gonna put it in like the middle B tier, maybe even like Rogue tier, just because it's so RNG based. Flip 4 coins, and if they're all heads, knock out any Pokemon in the game. If they're all tails, do absolutely nothing. And that kind of sucks for an EX Pokemon. I'm sorry, I'm not a huge RNG fan, but it is what it is. Speaking of which, we finally got a little bit of information on this Brock supporter card. Take one fighting type energy from your energy zone and attach it to a Golem or an Onix. And here is our Onix. It's a basic stage, nothing crazy. It's not an EX, which makes me think that Golem might be a Golem EX. For 3 energies, you can do Land Crush. And this right here, if you have it fully stacked up, can do some pretty good damage into like an electric type deck, especially since we were already talking about Pikachu being one of the more oppressive decks in the meta. With that, I'm just going to touch up on some few cards that you might know or might not know about. The Pokeball card, staple in every deck. Put one random basic Pokemon from your deck into your hand. Speaking of which, it's a 20 card deck, and we already know that you can only play 2 copies of a card in a single deck. So I think it's going to be like 10 cards. That's it. You just pick 10 cards and you duplicate them, and that's going to be your deck. I mean, that's going to probably be my starting philosophy, and I might change that as I go. Unless they limit things like supporter cards or stuff like that. As of right now, I'm pretty sure every single card is just you're allowed 2 copies of that card. So it makes sense to me to at most have something like 7 Pokemon and then 3 trainer cards, and then just duplicate them. So you're really having 6 trainer cards and then 14 Pokemon. Something like that makes a lot of sense in this short, fast-paced kind of deck. Next up, we have this Erica card, which again really helps to that Venusaur deck type. I'm telling you, Venusaur is going to be my staple. I just like grass Pokemon, to be honest. And then some other cards, you can't see anything, we don't know, but just to let you know, in case you didn't know, I mean, the game's coming out in less than a day, right? Or New Zealand, of course, if you're in New Zealand, of course. We have Sandshrew here. We have Raticate, that just has an attack, no ability. We have Gengar EX. I'm pretty sure that's an EX, and it has an ability. I'm gonna let you guys know. This is my card. Like, I'm definitely gonna try to get this card, and I'm definitely gonna run this thing. It's so awesome. Then we have a Cubone, a basic stage Cubone, which leads to me thinking there's going to be a Marowak. I think this is a full art type of effect here. It's super blurry, but you know, we're trying to get this information before actually seeing what cards are available. And then there's Giovanni, a supporter card. Let me know in the comments what you think Giovanni is going to do. This is going to be pretty interesting. I personally think it's going to be like Boss's Orders, where it does kind of like what Pidgeot does, except you choose what Pokemon comes back out. But yeah, there you guys have it. Expect another video in less than 24 hours once the app goes live in New Zealand, because we're going to get more information. Hopefully, we are going to get all of the cards and know exactly what's going to be in the genetic Apex deck list. 286 cards. Once we get full 286 cards, even if I'm not playing it, I'm going to start cooking up some decks, because trust me, that is where I shine. Maybe not shine, but that's exactly what I love doing. I just love deck building and I love playing these card games. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you like this type of content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.